Hey YouTube squad, welcome to another YouTube video. Now today I'm going to talk about the top 3 moments from my trading journey so far. And some juicy moments in there, some screenshots to just back it up and show you the proof basically as well. Because I try and document what I can from the journey, because I like to look back and like to see obviously the highs and especially the lows. The lows are really the ones that I want to look back on so that I can see the progress, and they always hold the biggest lessons, which hopefully you'll be able to see today. So yeah, starting off, number 1, blowing a 5k account, which at the time was quite early on in my journey and was all the money I had. So I want to give some lessons and context as well, like what I learned from those experiences. So you will see screenshots probably here of big losses and that account being blown. Now 5k, that was all I had at the time. Now I learned a lot from that experience, as I'm sure many of you out there probably gone through a very similar experience. Now I learned obviously about risk management, understanding why you predetermine a fixed risk. So at the time when I started trading that account, I was doing fixed lot sizes rather than risk, and obviously trading so many different pairs at the time as well. Those lot sizes doesn't mean that it's the same when it comes to say using 20 pips on gold as it is 20 pips on Euro USD, right? Completely two different things, meaning the risk was so fluctuating. At the time, it wasn't that I just blew the account straight away. I was just going up and down. I kept going from 5 to 10k, 5 to 10k consistently, taking out 2-3k here, putting back in 2-3k there. So basically staying in the same place almost. And then it came to a point where I started stacking trades, right? And I learned about, again, risk management, not having a plan, and the greed, of course, the greed in the market, and therefore ended up stacking one trade where I just was so convinced of comparing myself to others. So another lesson, seeing that everyone out there on social media was all looking to, I think it was a Euro AUD short, and at the time, as I said, everyone was saying it was looking to short, so I felt this is going to go short, and really it should have been the absolute signal to do the opposite, as always, right? Go against what the masses are doing. So anyway, I ended up going short and it went long. And when I took a step back, higher time frames were painting the picture for all day long. And obviously, another lesson, higher time frame narrative it holds more weight. So yeah, that was a very interesting start to the journey. And to be honest with you, afterwards, it kind of didn't make me depressed as such, but I was very deflated, because obviously it was basically all the money I had at the time. I had recently got married at the time as well, so it wasn't the best time to be doing that. And if I had stuck to the rules and had even just some form of risk management, some form of plan, it would have meant that I would be still in the game. It would have meant that I would have been profitable. But that was a lesson that was necessary and needed for me to be able to progress. On to point 2, which was finding the smart money concepts, way of trading. Right, so using liquidity and structure as a main focus, and order blocks and POIs, for example. Why was that very much a top moment? Because it really opened my eyes to having a repeatable process and to using structure as a foundation for your trades. The market gives you its overall predictable direction using structure, and then when you layer that structure throughout the time frames, it can give you very clear path to trade entries, trade exits, you take profits, your management of your trades, and therefore having a very strong, repeatable process, which I think is absolutely necessary for every trader to have, regardless of your strategy that you trade. Even if you trade, say, indicators out there, you trade the usual retail methods that people talk about, Fibonacci's and trade patterns like head and shoulders, wherever it may be. Even if you trade that way, having that repeatable process. So that's why SMC, finding the smart money concepts, was a very powerful moment in my journey, because at the end of the day, it opened my eyes to doing that, and I believe it gives a very clear, repeatable process, and that's why we see so many traders adopting this style. And then also the power of risk to reward. From smart money concepts, the risk to reward model is, the possibilities are endless, but it definitely opens the door from potentially just struggling or just being able to capture 1 to 2s and 3s to easily 1 to 5s, and that's a system that we will touch on in the next top moment. But 1 to 5s, for example, or even 1 to 10s, in that range, which is more realistic and consistent. And again, the power of risk to reward being that if you are achieving slightly higher risk to reward model trades, then Your strike rate doesn't have to be high. It doesn't have to be 60, 70, 80% to have a decent amount of profit. It can actually be on the opposite scale of 30%, 40% and still have decent profit and enough to be full-time trader. So extremely, extremely powerful, and it really opened my eyes, changed my perspective on the whole market as a whole. Now, going on to moment number 3, and probably one of the biggest ones for me, was making 60% on a 60% plus on a FTMO $100,000 account. Now, why was that a top moment? Now, it might not be what you think. Now, of course, it really showed me the possibilities of trading. Being able to make 60,000 in a single month, all of a sudden, really opened my eyes to what is achievable. That there are literally no limits. However, what it did teach me, now obviously there are going to be screenshots of this, so you'll see the screenshots of the account, and then you'll see the equivalent of a 70-30 split in pounds, which I think it was like 40 something thousand dollars, which in pounds equals about 30, I think at the time 30 or 33, 35k pounds. So you'll see the screenshots from the bank account, receiving the withdrawals just here, just as proof. So you can see this journey is all real. We've always authentic, and luckily I was able to document this from the past to be able to then use on a video like this. I never really planned to do this, but someone asked me, what are your top moments or top lessons you learned, and it really came to mind. But as I was saying, one of the very important lessons that I learned was unrealistic returns, right? Because what happened after that 60% was every month I believed, that was possible. Do 60%, 70%, 80%. I wanted to do more. I never thought about, I'm happy with that, and now let's continue to just trade the plan and keep to whatever the edge gives me. No, I was trying to chase unrealistic returns, and then I realized the danger of doing so. One very powerful lesson that I learned actually from that moment was understanding that, this whole time in my journey I was chasing these large numbers, right? I always thought the day that I would draw 10k, 20k, 30k, whatever it may be from the market in one go, my life will change. I'll be happy then. And I actually went into a state of anxiety shortly after having that withdrawal. And and I was so confused why, right? It didn't make sense. I'd just done so well. Everything was working. Everything was going well. Why was I feeling so anxious all of a sudden? And it was literally because, and I spoke to, say, my wife and even Cal, in regards to this, and it was literally that we realized it was because I had associated my success in trading as a person to one day getting these large numbers through the door. And once the large numbers came through the door, nothing changed. My life was still the same. I still had to pay rent. I still had to, pay the bills. I still had to go out and work out. I still had to go out and be active on the charts. Nothing changes. Yes, the bank account may increase, right? And maybe a slight bit of comfort, but there is no like, oh my God, I've made it. Oh, I feel so great now. I'm so rich now. Everything's going to be fine now. The work doesn't stop. You have to continue. And that was a realization for me that I've assigned so much happiness and success to this monetary value and this moment, and yet very underwhelmed when it came through. And then finally, having a realistic return. That's what it taught me. That's where I came up with the 1 to 5 system that we now promote and also, basically work with the Vipers to achieving, is having a 1 to 5 system, a realistic return. So with our way of trading, doing a 1 to 5 a day. And following the edge, obviously you still lose trades, of course, but allowing that edge, and it gives you a fantastic risk to reward model and strike rate model where you can lose, say, 7 out of 10 trades and still be extremely profitable, for example. Right, but we try and aim within that 50-50 strike rate range. Some months will be less, some months will be more. But with that 1 to 5 model, making you extremely profitable to plenty enough to be full time. And it was just an absolutely powerful moment. And it was meant to end there, but I just thought of one extra thing that was a big moment for me, which was starting to mentor, starting to teach others to be able to do the same. And I'll just go brief on this, but really being able to help other people, whether it's through a video like this, and hopefully this is helpful for you to give you that insight and some lessons from my journey, but whether it's other videos, whether it's on my Instagram that I'm very active on, at riz.viper, or just in general life, just talking to people and just helping people with advice, it really is, that is fulfillment. Trading, like even as we saw, I made 30k, but it didn't fulfill me. If anything, it made me anxious all of a sudden. But helping other people is true fulfillment. Helping people go from where I was, the losses, the blown accounts, to then consistently making money in the markets, consistently getting funded, trading consistently and being paid out, getting a personal account, getting investments, helping their family. They're the things that really have been a beautiful lesson and moment in my journey. And I've been a mentor for roughly 3 years now. I don't know how long I'll mentor. I haven't made a plan. Maybe just another year or two. But just the amount of impact you can see on another person's life and their trading. And really here at the Vipers, we try and go beyond just trading. We try and give a whole lifestyle, not in terms of materialistic things, but health, mindset, awareness, investments, financial foundations. We try and set people up for success, regardless of whether that's in trading or in life. And hopefully through this video, it's given you a little insight into the mindset of a trader. And maybe in future videos, we can talk about some of those things outside of trading too. But thank you for watching the video if you've gotten to this point. And thank you for subscribing. You can do so below if you haven't already. If this is your first time with us, check out some of our other content. But I'll catch you on the next one, YouTube squad. Thank you again.